Hey, it's the local spotlight show here at WJBM Studios in Jerseyville, Illinois, the voice of the Tri-Counties. I am Chris Lorton. I am your host today. And today in the studio, kind of a special day, pretty special day. I have three guests. Okay. I have my nephew, J.D. Lorton. I have a good friend, Greg Snyders, and another good friend, Donnie Braden. And all of us kind of were a team in accomplishing something, and we're gonna talk about this today. And it's not like, hey, we're bragging how great we are, but it's about we were just a part of it, and we didn't set a foot on the floor to play, but we a part of something that was pretty big. And that was 40 years ago. We were part of the Calhoun team that won the Winchester Tournament. And the tournament's been going on for, it'll be 103 years starting tomorrow, which is Saturday. And we're the only team that ever won it from Calhoun. And they've been in it for 56 years. And we're not saying it was necessarily a fluke or anything, but I don't know. The situation was just kind of perfect. It was like the perfect storm for us. And we know the Calhoun team and both Carrollton and all the great local teams are getting ready to start this tournament. And we just wanted this little session to share and hope to inspire other teams that, hey, never count yourself out. You can always come through. Crazy things can happen. We're going to start off with Greg Snyders was my assistant coach, and I had another assistant coach, Rick Johns, and JD was my manager / ball boy. Him and Nate were my guys, and they played a big part in it. And then there was Donnie Braden, who was our sixth man. Of course, he was in charge of the fans. He had a group of them. We'll get into all this, but it all played a big part in it. And anyway, any of you guys want to make a comment before I have Greg go over the team?
I'd just like to say, as far as your other assistant, Rick Johns, it should have been, he was there for the stipend. I just want to clarify that right now.
No.
The stipend and the food at the hospitality room at the Winchester Tournament.
JD, no comment.
I tell you what, man, he was a good comedian though all year.
Well, you know what, you guys say that, but in reality, he didn't know very much about basketball, but he kept good humor on the team, and he was kind of like my inside man, with the team, and he was tough. He made them the type of team we are. A lot of it was because of his 2 cents worth in about being tough, and
He's a motivator.
Yeah, good motivator. But he was definitely a part. We would have had him here today, but we didn't have enough microphones. Hey, Greg, go over the team.
Yeah, the players on the team that year was Tim Atterbury, Matt Bauman, Matt J. Bauman, Dave Bick, Billy Braden, Scott Coughlin, Justin Gibson, Bo Herkett, Jim Herkett, Chris Jones, Chris Sleeper, and Tim Winnicky.
All right. Hopefully that's 12. We got them all, right?
We think we got them all.
Yeah. And what we were rated in that tournament. Do you guys? I mean, I think I know.
I believe we were fifth, ranked fifth.
Yeah, we're fifth, and there were some great teams in that tournament.
That tournament was loaded.
Yeah. Comments?
No, it was absolutely loaded. I think it was one of the best ones ever as far as talent in teams from top to bottom. I mean, you had Perry in there that was ranked ahead of us, and that was probably the best team in their history that they had there.
Yeah.
and they were good.
How about Winchester? They were rated, I think, I'm going to say they were rated second in the tournament. I'm not for sure.
Well, they had to be. I mean, they were a Elite 8 team that year. They went to Champaign.
Yeah. They were part of the lead.
Yeah, they had to either be first or second.
Yeah. Well, I think Marquette was first. They were in the top.
Marquette was
Yeah, I
first.
think
Okay.
only because, as we'll talk about later, we had the home bench, so we had to be in the top bracket,
Right.
I believe. But Marquette was tough.
Very good.
I mean, how about Marquette? They had the Ducey boy.
Yes.
Yeah, John Ducey. He was a big boy. He was a stud.
They had two great guards, too.
Yeah.
And they were coached by a legendary Mike Waldo.
Yeah.
Hall of
his,
Famer.
Yep.
his strategy was hard to beat. Yeah.
Yeah, he made it tough for you to play against him.
Now, let's get in. Let's go back a little bit. And let's talk about Don Braden's his assets, his contributions to us. You know, winning that tournament. We got to go back a little bit. You know, Don, how'd you get started in the manager, like the kind of the Moses of the fan club?
Well, I kind of felt like a Moses. I think I was probably 26 at the time, and here I am leading high school kids in cheers. I had everything but the skirt. But no, I think it all started with me is when I was coaching grade school girls basketball. My first year was when Christy Longnecker and Cindy Titus and Connie Bloomberg, when they went to high school, I followed them through high school. And then they started playing regionals, and I started wearing basketballs on my head then and kind of doing it then. And then with the football, I was around that team every day.
Can I say one thing?
Sure.
Of course, we grew up together,
Yes.
in all through grade school and high school. And you were like one of the biggest jokesters ever in school. So, okay, I'm just going to say that.
Yeah, that kind of set the groundwork there. But anyhow, I was around the kids during football, and of course, that year in football, we went to the semifinals. And I knew those kids, and I just picked up on it. And I think it really got noted for me the year before at Brussels. He goes, I was there for a Calhoun Brussels game, and everybody knows that was a big rivalry game.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and we hit town at Brussels probably about.
Can I say something?
Yes.
That is the only game was in Sports Illustrated. The only teams that they ever had to stop the game at halftime. Now, it didn't happen again when we were involved.
I was on both the teams that did it.
You were?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell them what happened then.
Well, they call it the pit, and the gym is built into the ground, so when it's so cold out and you get so many people inside, the walls start sweating, so the floor would get wet.
Yeah.
And we didn't even make it through the first half, and the refs called it, so the administrations got together, and we just loaded the buses up and went back to Calhoun and finished it.
Yeah.
And that made Sports Illustrated.
Yeah. And I actually have that Sports Illustrated. Joe Montana's on the cover. Yeah, and I still have that Sports Illustrated magazine.
Yeah, and as a coach, whenever he played Brussels, we'd go down there and play in the pit. You wanted to make sure you take the slick end first. One end was a little bit slicker than the other.
It was the open end on the other side.
So you took that first because...
And feeding off that Sports Illustrated, and correct me if I'm wrong, we made it again when we played Louisiana, Missouri, when they only had one player on the floor because they all fouled out. That was when I was a senior in high school. And they only had one player on the floor left because they all fouled out, and we still lost.
No way.
They had nobody to inbounds the ball.
No, they was trying to throw it off our players, so we went down the other end of the floor. But they had such a big lead, they all fouled out. And I'm almost positive we made Sports Illustrated for that also.
Greg, any comments about Donnie and his episodes?
Well, he was definitely the sixth man, and I think it was a fun team to get behind. Our group, the way we played, and he was just such a big part of leading the fans. Because it was, the crowd, that we were packed, and he packed gyms. We packed gyms.
Did they always save a seat for you?
Oh yeah, yeah. I even if I got there late, and I mean they were just elbow to elbow, shoulder to shoulder, and in bleachers. And when I walk up, it just like part the seas. Everybody just made a spot for me right in the middle. And of course, I had bags of stuff that I wanted to use for the games, like newspapers and whatever else, and just to make sure everybody had it. And then we actually did a little rehearsal before the games, and they all fed off my leads. And yeah, it was pretty good.
How many? It was basically high school, right? Or do you have any adults, or just basically high school kids?
There was a few that were out of high school, like Mark Ballman. He was part of that then, but he'd only been out for
A couple years.
Yeah, a couple of years. But yeah, but it was just a big bunch of group of friends and high school kids.
And hey, I just want to say, hey, if you're just joining us, I've got Greg Snyders, J.D. Lorton, and Donnie Braden in. We're talking about a little bit of history on the Winchester Tournament and winning it back in '86. Go ahead, Donnie. How'd you get kicked out? You got kicked out of one game.
I got kicked out of the Brussels game.
Okay,
Yeah.
we got to hear that story.
Well, I'll tell you what happened at the game. We went to Brussels at 2:00 that afternoon, and we were getting, as you can say, getting primed for the game at Mickey's Tavern. And so we went to the game.
Hopefully not a bunch of high school kids.
No, they're quite wasn't 21 at the time, but Mickey's Tavern is pretty liberal with their age limits there. But there's like Mark Ballman and Fish and a bunch of guys like that. We were there, and then we're watching the JV game, and we were primed. We were ready, and it's packed gym, of course, because that gym didn't hold very many people to begin with.
And they got there early.
Yeah, we were there an hour before the game even started.
That game would get so packed, Greg. How packed would that great game get?
Oh,
as far as like on the first, like the inbound lines?
Yeah,
Remember
absolutely. Yeah, you sat with your feet in bounds.
Yeah, you could
on
not
the first
stand.
row.
You could not stand on the sidelines
No.
because the restriction
You
line.
know,
but you
they
could stand at
played
the
with the
ends.
restraining line. You had a restraining line to inbound the ball.
Yeah.
It's
Go ahead.
And so I kind of had, I don't know if it was a bad habit or not, but I would target players, certain things about maybe their size, or maybe they went to the table a little bit too long there. But I know when Mark Heffington was there, I'd moo like a cow, because Mark was a pretty good sized boy. And it didn't go over well.
No.
And who was that head coach? Was that
Dave Gillen.
Dave Gillen? Yeah, he wasn't a big fan of mine.
No.
And so I think I actually got kicked out because it was Jim and Mike Seamer was the referees. And there's a story behind that also, I'll tell. But the floor was sweating, like JD had mentioned earlier, and they were wiping the floor up. And the only thing that I said, but it was added to other stuff, I said, "Do you do windows too?" And next thing I know, I'm out of there.
Right.
Mike Berry comes. He was the superintendent for Brussels at the time. He comes. I'm out of the gym. So that's basically how I got kicked out of the gym. But back to the Seamers, I got to know Mike and Jim Seamer pretty well after the fact. And about 5 years later, they told me that under no circumstances that I was there for that varsity game. He goes, "You're getting kicked out for that JV game." And I did.
Yeah.
So I was targeted.
Yeah, he had a target on his back. And
Yeah.
just to finish the story, I was the JV coach, and it cost me a victory because we got a double technical.
Oh,
and they
shoot.
shot 4 free throws. And I think we lost by 1 or...
I don't know. I wasn't there.
Yes. But you had those guys, you had them organized, all those kids organized. And I mean, being the sixth player, the coaches and the players had to take their mind, whoever we were playing, they would take their mind off the game because of you guys.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And our players fed off the energy.
Oh, yeah.
The energy was amazing, and, it was awesome.
Yeah, it was fun.
I think it was good that our players knew that it was our fans doing it, the other teams, and they weren't targeted. You know, and I think it was just a lot
And we
of
did it
support.
home or away.
Oh yeah,
Didn't matter.
Oh yeah, we traveled. Yeah,
Traveled well too.
Now that's pretty common for colleges to do that. Now I don't know about high schools, but colleges. But that was kind of new for even. That was kind of brand new, wasn't it?
yeah, for 1986. Yeah, there wasn't a lot of colleges even doing it back then too, and I kind of got a lot of my stuff. How I got started, I started watching the Antlers, the fan group for University of Missouri. They're pretty ruthless. I wasn't quite that bad, but they did so much research, and I go, man, I like that. Then I don't know if Duke started that back then or not, but I was getting a lot of stuff from them and watching a lot of college basketball. But for high schools, I don't know of a lot of schools at that time that were doing it.
Yeah. Greg, how about that year, that era, that team? What did you see? Things that were going on that kind of made us had a chance at doing what we did.
Well, I think it was just carryover from football. You know, that success and these kids believed that they were going to win, and you know, they just were so physical and athletic and they played so well together as a team. There was no selfish. Nobody worried about who was scoring, you know, all the points or this. They were just in it.
We never
win.
knew who was going to be the leading scorer.
Yeah, they were just
Never
in it
knew.
to win.
Yeah.
You know, and we had some guys that just blossomed. Namely, I think one of the keys to that team was Scott Calhoun.
Yeah.
Scott Calhoun. I mean, as a freshman, sophomore, I mean, you know, we didn't know that. I mean, he turned into Superman. I mean, he was great.
Yeah.
I mean, he was great, and we needed that. You know, he was our big. You know, he was our big guy in the middle.
Yeah.
So.
I think the other thing with that team too was just the physicalness of it and their dedication to the weight room. All your guys inside, your front line, people weren't going to move them around. They were just big, solid, you know, high school players, and they bought into that.
Yeah, absolutely.
One player I'd like to mention that basically, you know, we had to play Marquette. Marquette was really tough, and you know, we were down 4, I think, in the last seconds of the game.
Yeah, it was under a minute.
Yeah, and it was the second game of that tournament.
What was the semifinal? We had to win that game to get to the championship.
Yeah,
Played Perry the second game.
and Justin Gibson kind of single-handedly took the game over and won it in the last seconds.
Yeah.
You know,
It was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen at any basketball game. You know, he gets fouled. He makes an gets an and one.
we're down
Gets fouled.
4.
We're down 4. So now we're down 2. Goes to the free throw line, misses the free throw. Somehow gets his own rebound. But that Justin had some of the quickest feet. When, you know, you look at him on a football field, sacking the court. I mean, his feet were so quick. He got to that ball, grabbed that rebound, goes back up with it, gets fouled again, makes it. Now we're tied. Goes to the free throw line, hits his free throw. We're up 1.
Yeah,
And
we ended up winning the game.
Yeah.
You know,
we one possession, we come away with 5 points.
Yeah,
And we were down 4.
you know, Justin Gibson was the fastest kid on the football team, and he played center and defensive end.
Yeah.
But when he was a sophomore, and that was my first year at Calhoun, and I was coaching football, he came out. He comes from, I mean, he lived over in Mosier. He had, you know, their family had 1 car, you know, and his chances to get, I mean, it was tough for him to play sports. And he quit, you know, we knew he had talent, but he quit in 2-a-days, you know. And so he quit, kind of forgotten about. And then when towards the end of football season, we could start basketball. I started basketball, and he shows up at practice, and he's in the gym, you know. And I walk up to him. I go, "What are you doing here?" He goes, "I want to play basketball." I go, "No, you're not. You're not playing." He go, what do you mean? I go, I'm not putting a bunch of time in you and have you quit on me. So just be gone. Go ahead. I don't want you on the team. He's like, no, he was like a car salesman. Of course, I was using some psychology on him. Like, no, you're not. And he had to sell me. He had to convince me that he was not going to quit. He'd show up for every practice. He was going to be dedicated. I'm like, okay, but he's a great player, great teammate.
Didn't you have something like that too with Matt B. Bauman?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was kind of quitting and coming back. And
I was kind of tough on him. He quit. And then his dad, Doc Bauman, which we were like lifetime family friends with the Baumans, the Bauman boys. I knew them all. But I was young, only 27, 25, 26, 27 when I played. And I was just kind of like hard on these kids, And Matt quit, came back the next year. I said, sure, you want to play? But his dad convinced me that he would be a player. He'd follow my rules,
But that helped make those kids mentally tough too.
Yeah, they were mentally tough. Yeah, tough love, for sure.
I'm going to get back to where you talked about the physicality of that team. They fed off that from you. That's the way you played football, basketball. You were like a no-nonsense type guy out there that banged and was physical, and I think they fed off that from you also. Yeah,
I think so. I mean, that was kind of the way it was with me, Yeah. Hey, believe it or not, fellows, we've ran out of time on this episode, so we're going to continue on. So if you're listening, tune back in. We're going to have the next episodes coming up. You can go to Listen on Demand or WJBM Radio YouTube and hear this second one right now if you want to, because it'll be put on the air and on YouTube. Hey, it's a Spotlight Show here at WJBM Studios in Jerseyville, Illinois, the voice of the Tri-Counties. I am Chris Lorton. I am your host. And back with me again today, J.D. Lorton, Greg Snyders, and Donnie Braden. We're rehashing, going through the Winchester Tournament back in 1986, where we brought home the gold. And just talking about what a phenomenal year that was, the phenomenal players that we had on that team. We talked about Matt Bauman, Justin Gisk, and Scott Coughlin. But how about our guards?
Our guards were tremendous. Chris Sleeper, Chris Jones. They had length. They had quickness. Chris Jones was such a great shooter. Chris Sleeper was I'd say more of a slasher, but he could shoot it from outside.
Oh, yeah.
And
defenders, they could both defend well.
Yeah, they were great defenders. And I don't care how good your bigs are. If you don't have guards, and if people that can get the ball down the floor and make plays, you're not going to be very good. And we had great guards. Those two were really good.
One thing I like to mention is, that was my third year coaching there, and the first year, we're in the Winchester Tournament. It's a Saturday. We're rated 9th, in the tournament. We have a game, and Mark Bauman is a senior on the team, and so whoever we're playing, I can't remember who it was, but they were giving him trouble on the floor, messing with him, which was the wrong thing to do to Mark Bauman, any of the Baumans, right? And I don't know that much. I'm a young coach, and Mark was ticked. I didn't realize how ticked he was. But we're going back to our locker room, which was basically classrooms down the hallway, right? And he goes into their locker room, grabs the guy, and starts knocking the snot out of him right there in the locker room, and all the other players, from what I understand, because I wasn't there, but everybody just stood back with their eyes just like wide open going, oh my gosh. So anyway, I got called in on the carpet on that, like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what's going on,
I just think it's an honest mistake. I think he got in the wrong classroom, and they weren't trying to let him out of there. I just think it's an honest mistake.
He had to protect himself.
That's right.
And then we come back the second year, and Alan Preston gets in a tiff with somebody in the hallway. Didn't go to the locker room.
Right outside the gym.
Were you there?
Yes, I was a water boy.
Okay, I didn't see. Yeah, what happened? No, I knew you were there, but I mean, if you were there in the hallway and saw it.
Yeah, they send you down and you're basically across the halls from each other. Now I don't think that happens. That thing, it's different.
Yeah.
But two teams that just played each other, and then there's two teams getting ready to take the floor. The only place he could have done it was right outside the double doors of the gym, and that's where it happened.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it was like going.
Yeah.
So in reality, that was actually my first year coaching with you.
Okay.
Okay, when we won the tournament. I wasn't really aware of all this other history, and the comment that we were the Oakland Raiders makes a lot of sense now.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody would look at you, kind of standoffish.
Yeah. And then, okay, the third year, now we got the team that actually, does well, wins the tournament. But that era of that team, I mean, I was thinking, and Greg, I think we were both, thinking we had Donnie Braden, who was the bad boy in the stands. We just kind of had that bad boy, gangster type attitude going for our team picture. JD, tell us about the team picture that we sent in for Winchester for the brochure.
Well, actually, it was your preseason. Football just got over, and Grandpa George Lorton had a nice, pristine stretch Cadillac in his garage, and Uncle Chris decided to take that over and put it in the front yard in front of the Calhoun High School sign. And Grandpa was a collector of hats.
No, actually, that was down on the riverfront.
Oh, I thought it was right across from his house.
No.
Oh.
I think we went down the
It was at night.
It was at nighttime. We got underneath. I had a little experience in photography in college, right? So I kind of thought I knew what I was doing. So I had them. We staged it under a street light on the river. It was totally black on the back.
It was totally black.
Right. And then we had I said, you guys we're going to have a team picture and bring whatever hat you want, And they showed up in all these, kind of gangster type hats, and whatnot. And they go ahead, JD. Sorry.
No, it was a great picture. Yeah. But the only thing that I can say about that is that's one of the only times I ever seen my grandfather kind of upset with Uncle Chris because there was footprints all over that car. And that was his baby. It was pristine.
Yeah, they were going okay, guys, get on the car. They leaned against it. They stood on it. They sat on it. You're like, whatever, took the shot.
But it was definitely unique. There was no other team that took a team picture like that.
No. And I just remember the era of the other coaches, and just the atmosphere. We were kind of, I don't know, I just felt like I was kind of looked down upon, like, what's he doing here? That's all right. I was playing it off. But then it came the day of the game, that night of the game. And Greg and I are in there. We're taping ankles, carrying on. And JD, we happen to be in the bracket. We happen to be listed as the home team. And home team gets to pick the bench. The visiting team gets to pick what end they warm up on. So I told JD and Nate, I go, hey, we're taking that bench right there. And go ahead, JD.
And set the stage. This is against Winchester.
Yes,
this is Winchester. Yeah,
against the home team.
Yeah, we're playing Winchester.
So they clear the gym out there. So there's an hour between the third and fourth in the championship game. So they clear everybody out. So we're in there, and of course, we're there early, and we've got all of our stuff, and we go, after Uncle Chris tells us which bench, we go set everything up. Well, we would go back and forth to the locker room if he's taping or needs something, whatever. Come back out, and our stuff's moved over to the other bench. So I walk in, Chris is taping, and I go, hey, Uncle Chris, they moved our stuff. He goes, go move it back. So we did, moved it back. This happened 5 times. And after the 5th time, Chris comes walking out, and I don't know if...
Well, you finally come down, you go, Uncle Chris, I hate to tell you this. I go, what?
He did it again.
They moved our stuff.
But
I
man,
go,
Well, let's back up. JD and Nate were how old?
10 and 11.
Yeah. And they're out there trying to defend our bench.
our turf. Yeah, they got high school kids. They're like, I don't know, sophomores, juniors, whatever, who are managers.
Anyway, that last time when I got Uncle Chris, and for everybody that knows him, when he does get a little excited, you watch his hands. And man, his hands are bent back, and they're pinching back and forth, and I was like, ugh. So we just walked right side by side. Me and Nate did, so we knew it was going to happen. And he went right to the locker room. You went and knocked on Bob Moore's on their locker room door, because they had their home locker room. And Coach Moore came out, and he goes, hey, that's our bench. Quit moving our stuff. He goes, we're the home team, So Coach Moore, they settled that one.
Yeah, I said, hey, I'm taking that bench. Which end do you want to warm up on? Because that's it. He's like going, okay,
And it was, I don't know, but how that whole thing transpired, the people that were running the tournament didn't know that they weren't on the home bench. And the other thing was when they warmed up, they always let the opposing team come out, then they dim the lights. Wouldn't shut them all the way off, and they'd play their coming out music, and it was Queen, another one's Bite the Dust, We Are the Champions, stuff like that. Well, Uncle Chris and Greg kept the team in the double doors and just waited them out so that they both had to cross as they're doing the warm up. They cross each other when the music comes on, and then the warm ups come on, go through it. And then before the game, Calhoun gets announced first as the visitor because Coach Moore came over to Chris with 2 minutes of the clock and goes, hey, we're going to be the home team on the board.
To make it easier for everybody, so we don't get mixed up during the game.
And they shut the lights out when they announced Winchester.
They announced us first.
We ran
out there. And
we had the lights, and then they shut them down. Well, the whole time, their spotlight that they click on is on our bench. And you guys are in the huddle getting ready for the game, and it's pitch black. Nobody can see Winchester. And it's on Calhoun the whole time. And we're sitting there going, who's the guy up top? Are you moving like that? It all, everything was on the Calhoun team.
And they spotted the floor.
They spotted the floor and didn't. And then they didn't even see him in the middle when they broke it down.
And Winchester runs out on the floor in the dark.
And from that point on, it was kind of game on.
Go ahead, Donnie.
And what was really funny about that when they did that spotlight, our student section was behind our bench. And I brought newspapers for everybody. And when they would start the other lineup, we'd all hold up newspapers.
And you had the light on you.
Yeah, and we had the light right on us, showing us with newspapers in our faces when they're announcing their lineup. Then they announce our name. We drop our newspaper, say, who's that? And put newspapers back up. And that spotlight was right on us.
Oh, shoot. Hey, if you're just joining us, we got Greg Snyders, J.D. Lorton, Donnie Braden. We're rehashing the 1986 victory at the Winchester Tournament, which this year they're doing 103rd year. And just talking about our victory there, which has been the only victory for Calhoun since that time, ever. Anyway, that was a tough game against Winchester, and they were a heck of a team.
They were a great team.
Yeah, they were in the Elite 8 team that year.
Yeah,
they went and played in the state tournament in Champaign.
But Greg, can you comment way you thought about how our team was then? In that how loose they were, the way just their mentality.
Yeah, they just let it all hang out. I just don't think they ever felt any pressure, and
No.
maybe it's the fact that we were underdog, or maybe it was the fact we had that football experience. I mean, you get to the semifinal game in football, they just let it go. They just let go out there, and it was fun to watch.
Yeah.
Well, I think the other thing is how you guys approached it. We played before Perry played, and you guys made the team stay there, and we had to pass out scouting reports that the kids, the players had to take notes on the player they were going to guard or they were going to go against, and you guys did that for every opponent in that tournament.
Yeah.
No other team was doing anything like that, and like football. I think that's where it comes in. Where Uncle Chris was a football guy, but the scouting report is like the Bible for the week, man. You know everything that team's going to do, and those kids were just really locked in on them, on who their opponent was.
Yeah,
I mean, even though I was 11 years old, I mean, I remember that sitting there going, "Wow, this is unconventional. This is awesome."
Yeah.
It made them pay attention and focus on the task at hand because they had to take notes.
And
they had to write down notes, so they had to lock in.
Yeah.
And they did.
Yeah.
They did.
And no other teams were staying there and watching and things like that. You guys really had prepared.
We had a lot of everybody played a part in winning that game, but I just remember there was when we played Marquette and also when we played Winchester. They had two key big players that were able to kind of take out of the game via Matt Ballman coming off the bench.
Absolutely.
And I remember Scott was having a hard time.
That John Ducey, when you made that move, man, John Ducey from being on fire to being, he can't get a shot off.
Yeah. I don't know if you remember, Greg, but John Ducey was having his way with Scott.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, which,
I
mean,
he did with a lot of people.
Right. Okay, here's a little backstory. John Ducey was a cousin to Jim Ducey. Jim Ducey lived in Gridiron Acres, all right? That subdivision, all those houses down there, all those kids growing up there. All right, so did the Ballman boys. They grew up down there. Those guys grew up and playing down there, all right? So the Ballmans had a reputation, all right? Matt, Mark, all of them did. And so Ducey was having his way, and I grabbed Matt by his shirt, got him right in my face, and I go in there and stop Ducey. Matt goes in there, he's like, oh, man, this is right down my alley. He goes in there, and Matt was guarding Ducey. I don't know if you remember this, but he put his hand up like to guard him, like it was an inbound play right off the bat. Ducey takes his hand, and he pushes Matt's hand down, right? Matt puts his hand back up. Ducey brings his hand back. And then Matt gets right in his face and says, "You touch my hand one more time, and it'll be the last thing you do in this game." And there was a few key words. In between. It was just close enough I could see that. I'm going, "Ooh, boy, here we go again." And then after that, Ducey was out of the game.
Yeah.
He took him out.
Took him out
did.
mentally. He was like, "Oh my God." So anyway, that was a big part of it. So Matt was playing Cox, and I think Cox had a lot better game than Ducey had, but still, Matt could put the handle on him for sure.
I know in that championship game, we had a couple of fluky things that happened too in that game. I remember right before halftime, Chris Jones shoots a baseline shot right at the end of the half, and it's shooting from the baseline, and it grazes the backboard.
It did.
And goes in.
Yeah.
And I thought, how did that go in? Right when the buzzer went off? Just grazed the backboard on a baseline shot and made that thing. And I thought, tonight's our night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seemed like destiny with all the things that happened throughout that tournament. That just, the Justin Gibson, the 5-point possession to beat Marquette. That shot, how big was that? I mean, it was amazing.
And correct me if I'm wrong. We still jumped the ball at halftime, correct? That wasn't possession early back there.
There was no possession.
No, not at that time.
Didn't starting out the second half. Didn't we win the tip and Chris Jones went down and slammed it?
Yeah.
We
did.
Yes, right off of halftime.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, it's on.
Yeah.
Yeah. He had 2 plays back to back, but it was a halftime in between that really turned that game, I thought.
Yeah.
Well,
The momentum.
Right.
I think the other thing is Chris Sleeper and Chris Jones, how they defended, because Marquette had amazing guards.
Yeah.
And in Winchester, I mean, I know they had a couple guys. They had one that was the point guard was a freshman, but he was an all-time leading 3-point shooter in the state of Illinois. I mean, they were good.
Yeah.
And they just took them guys out of the equation.
They guarded so well, and I just think the other teammates fed off that energy.
Especially Slop, man. He'd get up in your grill.
Oh yeah,
he was great.
He was
Great.
something else.
And they were long. I mean, Chris Jones was probably 6'2".
Greg, you remember one thing that we did, kind of our philosophy on defense was, usually you had 2 key players. These teams would have 2 guys,
Right.
a guard and an inside man, and we'd always go, okay, we're playing man to man. You're on him. Now, the rest of you, you're halfway. You got half your man because he's not going to be a scorer. Your other half of you is on the, one of the better players. You help out. So they had a lot of help, which helped keep them down. I mean, they were still tough, but we ended up going into double overtime to win that game against Winchester.
On their court.
On their court. With their referees. They were cutting a check.
Yeah.
The check was coming from, Bob was cutting the check at the end of the night.
A team that made the Elite Eight.
Yeah.
That year.
The only thing they didn't check with was the light guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that kind of screwed
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. I don't think he got the memo.
We won that tournament, and it was fantastic. It was a heck of a high for everybody. Just couldn't believe it. But needless to say, we didn't win our regionals. We didn't go very far. I think that probably helped Winchester make it to state.
Oh, I'm
You know
sure.
what I mean?
Oh, yeah. It made him tougher.
Yeah.
We lost Southwestern that year in the second round, didn't we?
I think we did.
Yeah.
Hi.
At their place. The regional was at Southwestern.
That was my only regret that entire season. I felt like we peaked
We
at
did.
that tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the rest of the season, it seemed like we went down. And
You
I
know-
don't know why, but it was an incredible high there. But
I think an experienced coach, which I wasn't, that experienced, 27 years old, was you got to, just looking back, just thinking about it, you have something like that happen, you got to knock the chair out from underneath their feet, like the team. You got to bring them back down,
back down
because
to earth.
both us, we, and them were up here elevated, and it was hard to get over that experience. It was just like, oh, wow, we did it,
Well, we'd done something that had never been done
Yeah.
at Calhoun.
And it hasn't been done since. It was pretty phenomenal.
Yeah.
For sure. Because we've had some great teams come through Calhoun.
And
Some
like
great
I said
athletes.
in our previous interview, we're still waiting for our statues of you and me.
I probably keep waiting.
Hey, I would like for each of you guys, we got limited time here, but a short tip for this Calhoun team playing in the Winchester tournament. What can you say to them? Because we really want them to do well.
I think both teams are comparable. They both have great athletes, deep benches. The team right now is long and lengthy like you guys were. I think they're both the same. I think it's there for the taking. They just need to go grab it.
Greg?
I agree 100% with Donnie. This team is deep. They can shoot the ball. They're long. They can defend. They're very athletic. The team is so similar.
They are.
Great running football, a lot of football guys.
Final Four.
A lot of weightlifting. These guys are strong and athletic, and they don't seem to, they just don't back down. So I want to see it. I want to see it again. And the tournament, in my opinion, is comparable. That tournament is loaded again this year.
I know.
It's because now Pleasant Hill, dropped out, and it was replaced by Staunton.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my.
So and Staunton is good, really good.
Yeah.
This year.
I've coached all these guys, and they're very team oriented. They're not selfish, but I would say the biggest thing, because let's be honest, they have less than 20 practices in, and they're 10-2 and with 2 losses to Staunton.
Just like us.
But I think as they go through the year, they play great defense. They've got a good rotation. But the one thing that we really haven't seen that they did, all summer, and what they've really been good at is pushing the ball with their athletic ability. And I think if they can pick the tempo up a little bit with the way they play defense. They could make some noise in the postseason, no doubt.
What I kind of would like to see, I just think about that team and how we never knew who was going to be the leading scorer, and anybody could step up and do that and take the position. I just think being a real team orientated, and just letting it happen and not having to force anything, just letting play, just play the game,
Right.
And work as work together, and do what you have to do to make it happen. All right. Well, again, we've ran out of time. So thanks so much for coming in. It's been fun. We'll be keeping track of the Winchester Tournament this year.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure.
Yep. Thanks,
Hey.
Chris.
Thanks for coming in.
Yep. It was great to hang out with you guys.
Yes, reminisce. Thanks again, guys.